Hello and welcome. In this video, I'll lay down the roadmap of calisthenics so you'll know more about what it is and what style of calisthenics fits you the best. This is going to be part of a longer How to Get Started series where I'll show you how to perform the most important exercises, design workout routines, set your first goals and so on. But before all that, I think it's crucial to start by defining calisthenics as the very first step, because it's not quite as simple as performing exercises with your own body weight. Even though that is what it means, there is a lot more that lies beneath that surface, so let's get started. There are 4 major categories, each with their own community and their own competition formats. I'll explain what the highest level looks like in each one, so you'll know what to strive for and which direction to hit with your own training. But before defining these categories, we have to start from what all the other stuff springs from, which is the basics. And the basics consist of foundational compound exercises with your own body weight, the big 3 being the pull-up, push-up and squat. But it also includes rows, dips and even sit-ups. There are also some skills that I would put down here because I believe you have to master some or all of them in order to later on make a qualified decision on which discipline to specialize in. This includes the pullover, handstand, muscle-up, back lever and pistol squat, and probably some more as well, like tuck benches, but that's debatable. Alright, on to the categories. And first we have strength and endurance training, which is high volume sets and reps. At peak performance, this category is characterized by a lot of very clean muscle-ups, dips, pull-ups, pistol squats, etc. So simply put, this is the basics, but on steroids. This category can be divided into 2 subcategories, the first being bodyweight, which is all about speed reps, and the barbarian requirements is a key example of how this looks at the highest level. At the front of this subcategory are athletes like Max True with his insane muscle-up records, and athletes like the barbarian Harvey. Competitions in this format usually consist of a single or multiple fixed workouts that needs to be completed as quick as possible with the proper form. So for example, when I competed at the Nordic Championship last year, we had to complete this round for time, with judges constantly checking if the form requirements are being completed. And if you have bad form, then you get a no rep and have to redo it. The second subcategory is weighted calisthenics with high volume training, and this is most commonly dips and pull-ups, but it can also be muscle-ups at the highest level. This competition format is usually a little different from bodyweight only, as people go for max reps with each rep giving a fixed set of points. So in the Nordic countries, people rip out pull-ups, dips and pistol squats, but other more high-profile competitions like Calisthenics have implemented 1-minute rounds for each exercise, where the person with the highest amount of completed reps wins. And in this category, athletes like Flo Merrick and Ruslan Fatakov dominate. Then there's a third subcategory that combines bodyweight endurance and weighted endurance, which has gained a lot of popularity, and a lot of the top tier athletes in both of the other subcategories are competing on these grounds. A really popular competition format is 1 versus 1 battles in a tournament bracket, in which a workout is given, the first person to complete the workout moves on, and the other person is knocked out of the tournament. This is, by the way, also the format that I compete in, and here I am losing in the final of Beast of the Bars in Stockholm to none other than Max True. The next major category is statics, and the name pretty much speaks for itself, but this discipline is about holding advanced body positions. Best known is the planche as a pushing exercise and the front lever as a pulling exercise. There are tons of other options, but most of them derive from these 2, like the Maltese planche and one-arm planche, or the touch front lever and one-arm front lever. This category is represented by athletes like Viktor Kamenov, Manuel Caruso, and Elias. In competitions, each move has a predetermined set of points given to the athlete if the move is held statically for 3 full seconds. So if people, for example, have a 1-minute round, the athlete has to gather as many points as possible, and if the competition is held like a tournament bracket, they have to gather more points than their opponent. This of course is a little different from holding the moves for as long as possible, which I believe a lot of people do in their trainings. As the next major category, we have freestyle. This discipline is probably the most visually jaw-dropping, as athletes have to incorporate an artistic expression. There's a limited time frame to combine dynamic elements, dynamic strength elements, static elements, as well as a fluent flow between the chosen movements, and the routine is judged on all 4 of these parameters. Peak performance in the dynamic section looks like this and is represented by athletes like Tony Gaste. The dynamic strength elements, also called power moves, could look like this and is represented by athletes like Carlo Figu. This could be handstand push-ups, planche push-ups, front lever pull-ups, Hephaestos, and much more. The statics category we already covered, only this time the moves can stand alone. A lot of calisthenics athletes like to focus on statics and power moves, and sometimes these athletes enter freestyle competitions to showcase their skills. Lastly, we have the flow category, which covers the fluidity of transitions between moves. In my opinion, this category is represented by Christoph, who moves from skill to skill like it's nothing. I mean, just look at that. The competition format is a tournament bracket with each judging category giving 1 point, so versatility is the name of the game in freestyle. The fourth major category is street lifting. This is a 1-rep max style of weighted calisthenics inspired by the principles of competitive weightlifting. This is probably the style of calisthenics that has gained the most attention over the past year or so. In this discipline, athletes are divided into weight classes and have to complete a set of exercises within a clear rule set with the highest possible weight. Every athlete has 3 attempts for each exercise, and there are 2 main formats, the All-4 and the Classic. In the All-4, athletes have to complete the following exercises: first, a strict muscle up; second, a pull-up; third, a dip; and fourth, a back squat. The athlete with the highest total added weight wins. This is the most popular format, and it is producing a really interesting set of athletes. I always think it's interesting to look at the highest level to see what body composition produces the best results in sport. Athletes here are jacked, but in contrast to other weightlifting disciplines like powerlifting, the athletes also have a low body fat percentage because they have to complete a clean muscle up. Also, added fat isn't really a benefit other than the squat, of course. The All-4 category has front faces in each weight class. The World Championship just wrapped up and I don't have access to the footage yet, but here's an insight into what crazy numbers this sport is producing. M is for muscle up, P is for pull up, D for dip, and S for squat. You can pause here if you want to have a closer look. The other format is the Classic, which consists of the pull-up and the dip. This is the format that started street lifting and is easily represented by Matthew Slatt. This category isn't quite as popular as the new breed of calisthenics athletes aren't really down prioritizing legs anymore. Those were the 4 major styles of calisthenics. A 5th potential category could be bodybuilders who utilize calisthenics movements because of their significant muscle activation. Calisthenics training builds muscle really well, and it seems that this fact is getting more well known. In your own training, there doesn't need to be a clear division of these categories. You can easily train the things you enjoy, even though the skills or training styles overlap. But achieving peak performance in each one requires some specialization. So there you have it. This is the current landscape of calisthenics. I've mentioned a lot of athletes in this video, and this of course doesn't take anything away from all the top tier athletes who wasn't included. Otherwise I could go on forever. Hopefully you learned something new and maybe you got inspired to walk down the path of one or more of these categories. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video or if you want this series to continue. Also feel free to comment if you have any tips for my videos or something you want included in the next one.